people? It's your boy Brandon Brevon Towns, and I'm the host of that show called Sports Plus Life. And y'all already know it's going down today, so guess what? Turn it off, turn it all the way off, boy. Yo, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Brandon Brevon Towns, and this here is Sports Plus Liggity, aka Sports Plus Life. This is that show where we discuss all them hot topics that need to be discussed about in sports. If you are a first-time listener, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button, or don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment box below. I'll answer you personally. Trust and believe I will. And it don't matter what you say. God bless you. I love you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the view. And boy, do we have a show today. It is Monday, December 30th, 2019. And that means we are that much closer to coming to the year 2020. The decade is about to end. And it's weird. I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and damn it, it feels like springtime out here. I mean, this global warming thing is real, y'all. I mean, last week, I was going to work at 5:30 in the morning, barely able to move because my hands were so frozen, it just affected the rest of my body. And today, I could damn it go outside and wear shorts. I mean, for real. But it is what it is. It is a beautiful day in the Richmond, VA, where I stay. I didn't start rhyming on purpose, but hey, sometimes that's just the way it goes. But I hope everybody's having a great day. And I guess if you guys have been noticing, I've been dropping them podcasts left and right. This is my third podcast in a week. And you know, hey, when you got the time, because I'm off today, got to work tomorrow, got to do the skit tomorrow at church. But and when it's really hot right now, like it is in sports, I got to comment on it. Hey, I mean, I did a disservice to myself and my 5 listeners by being MIA during the summertime when all the free agency stuff was just going bananas and I only had 1 episode. But it is what it is. I'll see if I can get some interviews today. But without further ado, let's get to it! For the final time in 2019. And of course, as you know, yesterday was the final week in the regular season. Another regular season in the NFL comes. Another regular season in the NFL goes. I mean, boy, was this not a wacky week 17. You know what? I'm not even really going to pay much attention to the games that didn't matter. I'll give you a rundown on the score, but I'm going to go into detail. That's what I'm saying. We got a hell of a show today. Biatch. I'm going to go into detail about the games that did matter. First and foremost, okay, let me see. What are the games? Let's see. What are the games that didn't make a difference? Let's see. The Bengals beat the Browns. So what? I mean, 33-23, Odell Beckham did have a touchdown for Cleveland. Cincinnati finishes a league worst 2-14.
You suck.
Good, I mean, big deal. Had no playoff bearings at all. The Bears beating the Vikings at Minnesota. Minnesota was already locked in to the 6th seed, so they didn't play any of their starters. They could have cared less. So, and Chicago won a walk-off field goal, 21-19. Nobody cares. Atlanta beats Tampa Bay in overtime. Jameis Winston, while he led the league in passing yards, he became the first quarterback to have 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. And to make things even more special, that 30th interception was a pick 6 in overtime to end the season. Boy, you gotta love Jameis. I mean, boy, Jameis Winston is magical. Another game that didn't matter, the Colts beat the Jaguars. Jacksonville defeated the Colts 38-20. Gardner Minshew is trying to make his statement that he should be the starting quarterback going forward. I told you Nick Foles is going to be back in Philadelphia next year. That is my prediction. And, of course, they're looking for a new general manager because I don't know if I've ever brought this up, but Jacksonville last week dismissed Tom Coughlin, their GM. And for real, with good reason. Tom Coughlin was just too old school for, I guess, this generation of players. Now, far be it from me to criticize somebody being old school when I think that sports has gotten incredibly soft as around the board. Football, basketball, I'm not going to say baseball. Baseball is the same, and that's really their problem. But when you have a players association sending out letters to impending free agents to not go to Jacksonville because of the way Tom Coughlin is running shit, that's the problem. When you have the players association saying, hey, don't go, it's not worth collecting a 7-figure check or an 8-figure check from that organization, that's terrible. That is just flat out, I mean, damn. I think they said Dante Fowler was fined 25 times. And I think if you were a player and you showed up for the meeting on time, if you have a scheduled meeting that, if let's just say there was a meeting scheduled at 5 o'clock and you showed up at 5 o'clock, you were fined because you were supposed to be there 5 minutes early. Like, that's just crazy. That's just insane. That is crazy. You have to know when you have stars, and that Jacksonville defense has some stars on it. I mean, Jalen Ramsey, that's why he's gone. Dante Fowler, that's why he's gone. You had Telvin Smith and Calais Campbell. And, you know, these guys, I remember watching TV and seeing a story about how Bill Belichick, when he was the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants, had a defensive meeting, and Lawrence Taylor showed up to the meeting, I want to say about 11 minutes late. And Bill Belichick went and told Bill Parcells, who was the head coach, Lawrence Taylor was 11 minutes late to the meeting. And Bill Parcells said, well, you should have started the meeting 11 minutes late. You know why? Because that was Lawrence fucking Taylor. And you know he was going to bring it and bring it on the highest level that has ever been brought before on the football field. I'm just saying. So, but anyway, I mean, I just had to elaborate on that because I really meant to get into that subject about Tom Coughlin, but I never really got the chance to. Another game that didn't matter, in retrospect, it didn't matter. The Broncos beat the Raiders 16 to 15. The Raiders actually scored a touchdown with under 10 seconds to go, but, you know, Gruden went for the win instead of the tie. And as it turned out, they had known that they were already eliminated from any playoff contention, and we stopped the 2-point conversion. So shout out to my Denver Broncos, who started out the season 0-4, finished the season 7-9, meaning the last 3 quarters of the season, we were a 7-5 football team. So it appears that maybe Elway has gotten this right at the quarterback position, finally, with Drew Lock. He came in 5 games ago and went 4-1 as a starter. I mean, hey, what can you say? Other than 4 blown fourth quarter leads, and we'd have been a wild card team. How about that? But I'm going to look at the glass half full instead of the glass half empty. You started 0-4. You finished 7-9. 7-9. Same thing for the New York Jets. Shout out to them. They started 0-4. They finished 7-9. And so that game didn't matter. Let me see what else. What other games really didn't make a difference? I want to say that's about it. Every game had some type. Every other game. Oh, the Rams beat the Cardinals 31-24. The Rams finished 9-7. You know, good for them. So now to the games that made a fucking difference. Excuse me while I take a sip before I get into this. Oh yeah, that's good. All right, well, we'll start with the early games. All right. The Green Bay Packers needed a win at Detroit to at least secure a bye week. They won the NFC North last Monday night with a win over the Vikings. So they needed to beat Detroit just to secure at least, at worst, a number 2 seed, with hopes of possibly getting a number 1 seed. It was touch and go. They came out really flat The Lions were pumped up, and the Lions led at one point in that game 17-3, but Aaron Rodgers did some Aaron Rodgers things, and they came back, won at the buzzer, 23-20, so Green Bay knew they would have a bye. Finishing, this is one of the quietest 13-3 seasons that I've ever seen. I mean, when you look at it and you say Green Bay, Green Bay is 13-3? Really? Their season was that good? You didn't really hear about it.
Settle down just a little bit.
Aaron Rodgers had maybe about a 3-week stretch where he was like, he may be the MVP. And then they would come out and lay an egg against the Chargers or get blasted by the 49ers. And it was like you never took this team seriously. But you look up, hey, Green Bay is 13-3. They have a bye week. So shout out to Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. And let's see, another game. The Kansas, and boy, oh boy. The Kansas City Chiefs knew that they had to do some wishful thinking to think that they would get a number 2 seed. First things first, they had to win at home against the division rival, Los Angeles Chargers. And remember, the Chargers beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead last season, so this game was not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But they knew if they took care of business and prayed to their lucky stars that perhaps the Patriots would fall to the Miami Dolphins at home in Foxborough, then hey, by the grace of God and the hair on our chinny chin, we're getting a bye week. That's what they were thinking going into the game. Well, they took care of business, 31-21. Like I said, it wasn't easy. It was a game that was close throughout. So they knew at worst they were going to be a 3 seed and have to play whoever got in that night or the end of that evening as the 6th seed in the AFC. Which brings me to the next game in Foxborough, Massachusetts. I'll be goddamn. The Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots. All the Patriots needed to do was take care of business. I mean, you remember in week 2, the Patriots went to Miami and beat the Dolphins 43-0. And this was when we were thinking, oh my God, will the Patriots actually lose a game this season? You know who caught a touchdown pass in that game? Antonio Brown from Tom Brady, which has been the last time we saw Antonio Brown on a football field.
Get your damn act together.
So surely, this was in the bag. The Patriots were 17-point favorites. Surely there's no way in East, West, North, or South hell that they're going to lose at home to the Dolphins with a first-round bye on the line. Well,
here we go. Brady to the side. Edelman throws it back. The ball is loose and being tossed around. And still being tossed around. Watson, Edelman. And again, now a lineman, and now Sanu before he's finally brought, nope, still alive. And there's the end of the game. And look at these Miami Dolphins celebrate.
Are you serious? In what is the upset of the year, the Miami Dolphins went into Foxborough, nothing to lose, nothing to play for but pure personal pride. And remembering what a 43-zip ass whipping felt like in week 2. But my, how things can change over the course of a season. The New England Patriots, for the first time in 10 years, are not going to have a first-round bye. They have to play on wild card weekend. Wow. because you could not stop the Miami Dolphins after you got the lead with a little over 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, or 4 minutes. You couldn't stop Ryan Fitzpatrick from going 75 yards and scoring a touchdown. Now, I told you guys this a couple of months ago, that the New England Patriots, which their defense was being made to be this historically great defense, I said they were playing bottom feeders. The first 8 games of their schedule were against teams that were horrible. No team that is going to the playoffs outside of their Week 3 win against the Buffalo Bills. That is it. Other than that, they were bottom feeders, much like the Dallas Cowboys. I'll get into them in a second. So they started off 8-0, and, everybody was saying, wow, this is a historically good Patriots defense. I said as soon as that schedule got a little tough, as soon as that schedule got a little tough, starting with the Ravens, and then having to see teams with great young quarterbacks like the Texans, and then having to play the Chiefs, I said that defense would really get exposed because they ain't played nobody. When you start off the season, when you start off the season and you're playing the Steelers, who you always whip up on them, and then the Dolphins, and then the Jets, and you got the Redskins, and the Giants, and the Jets again, and Cleveland, what do you expect? But then that schedule got a little tough on November the 3rd at Baltimore. You beat the Eagles and Cowboys in between, but then you had to go to Houston. Then Patrick Mahomes came to town, okay? But you you had a first-round bye in the Bizag, and you lost. And excuse me, am I the only one? Matter of fact, I know I'm not the only one who saw Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore, get absolutely worked by Devontae Parker. Worked. 8 catches for 135 yards. Devontae Parker on what a lot of people are calling the best cornerback in football. Stephon Gilmore got his ass handed to him yesterday. So now, what you gonna do, Tom Brady?
We didn't play the way we're capable of playing, and ended up costing us, and just too many bad mistakes. We didn't play the way we're capable. We got beat, and now we got to play next week, and we got to play a lot better next week.
Well, duh. I think we know that. But yeah, man, that was the upset of the season. As I was watching Red Zone, they showed the reaction in Kansas City. They obviously were going nuts because basically what I said the last show, what I thought was going to happen was that the Patriots would take care of business, the Chiefs would take care of business, and what you were setting yourself up for was another rematch in Foxborough with the Chiefs playing the Patriots, this time in the divisional round instead of the conference championship. Well, that's flip-flopped. So if the Patriots win their first game, and I haven't said who the opponent is yet, I'm pretty sure you guys know, but there's no guarantee, but you could be setting yourself up for a rematch in the same venue. And but I'm going to be honest with you. Me and everybody else outside of Foxborough, Massachusetts, hope the Patriots don't make it past Wild Card Weekend. We're sick of them. But anyway, on to the next game that mattered. The New Orleans Saints, they were hoping to get a bye week, quite possibly. They went into Carolina and they took care of business, 42-10. Kamara had a couple of touchdowns. So they did what they had to do to try to end up being at least a number 2 seed. Another game of note that played an effect on particularly what I was talking about with the AFC. The Pittsburgh Steelers went to Baltimore with hopes of them winning and possibly the Titans losing their game at Houston. And, well, what happened is, as I said, the Steelers had been they've been surviving with a life raft around them all season. Mike Tomlin's a hell of a coach. Mike Tomlin has made so many coaches look bad because of what he was able to accomplish, even though it's just an 8-8 record. What he was able to accomplish with what he was working with at the quarterback position is simply outstanding. The only coach who had multiple injuries and you had to plug in a player here, a player there, the only coach that Tomlin didn't make look bad was Doug Peterson. But other than that, you have to tip your hat to Mike Tomlin. It just wasn't meant to be this season. They went to they went to Baltimore, and Baltimore didn't play any of their starters. They've been set since last week. Robert Griffin III, RG3, got his first start since 2016. Didn't play spectacular, but Baltimore won 28-10, and so Pittsburgh was eliminated, and it didn't matter anyway because Tennessee went to Houston, and Houston had nothing to play for because Kansas City beat the Chargers, so Houston couldn't advance to a third seed. So they sat Deshaun, they sat Hopkins, they sat a lot of their players. They started A.J. McCarron, and Tennessee had everything to play for, and they went in there and they won 35-14. Derrick Henry rushed for over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, captured the rushing title as a result of doing that, and boom, the Tennessee Titans, as I said, would get the last spot. Well, initially I thought it would be the Raiders, but as I saw Tennessee sneaking up, hey, there you go. So now in the AFC, your playoffs are set. I'll get to that in a minute. Now with the NFC, the only thing that wasn't set was seeding. So you had Green Bay handling their business, getting a bye week. New Orleans handling their business, and then they were scoreboard watching. The Vikings were already set at number 6, so they had nothing to play for. The NFC East was not decided yet. Even though the Eagles beat the Cowboys last week, the Cowboys still could get in with a win and an Eagles loss. And I'm not going to dwell on this at this particular moment in time because what I said the last show was going to happen happened. Dallas came out and played a bottom-feeding Redskins team and kicked the shit out of them. They kicked the shit out of them 47-16. That's what the Cowboys did all season. They beat losing teams. But it meant nothing because the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia motherfucking Eagles, they handled their business against the Giants. They won 34-17. I'm not going to go in. I started the Rocky music and I cut it because, I'm not going to go in, in the hoopla like I did last week. But I'm going to say this. I have not seen a team truly embrace the motto of next man up like this year's Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles their team was patchwork. They had a patchwork team. They had a sewing job, jumper cables, all of that, all fix a flat, all of that shit. And they still were able to win the division and make the playoffs. My goodness, Zach Ertz didn't play yesterday. And then Miles Sanders got hurt in the second half. So I'm like, yo, I'm sitting here watching that game, and I'm like, oh, my God. Because it was touch and go because it was 17-17 late in the third quarter, and it's touch and go, and I'm like, oh, my God. The Eagles cannot keep anybody on the football field. This is crazy, especially after Miles Sanders got hurt, especially after their right guard got hurt. But then Carson Wentz is throwing up the ball, and guys named Burnett were catching it. And Davis, we know about Greg Ward now, but then Perkins and Boston Scott, who showed out the first time they played the Giants. Who played the Giants? Yeah. He just looks like Darren Sproles Jr. out there, and I'm like, who are these guys? But next man up, okay, there's your next man up, and then there's your next man up after that, and your next man up after that. And this team still made the playoffs. I mean, what can you say? You have to tip your cap to the Philadelphia Eagles. You have to tip your cap to Doug Peterson, who sometimes tries to outthink himself, and my man Sean says, and that's totally true. But, like I said, I'm not going to go into hoopla and ha ha ha. I'll have a section of today's show that will, that will highlight the Dallas Cowboys. But it's not just going to be the Cowboys. But I am going to say this. I'm watching Sports Talk this morning. You know, these shows ought to be ashamed of themselves. And I love First Take, and I love FS1, and I love Undisputed. But they should be ashamed of themselves, leading their A block with the fact that the Cowboys didn't make the playoffs and the Eagles won the NFC East. You're going to lead off and center most of your show around a mediocre team that didn't make the playoffs in an awful division. Max Kellerman says one of the worst, maybe the worst division in the history of football. No, Max, do your homework. The 2010 NFC West was horrible. Okay, the division champion was the Seattle Seahawks at 7-9. Okay, at least the Eagles are 9-7. I mean, come on. But they center their show around the fact that the Cowboys missed the playoffs, but they're a mediocre team. How do you not lead off the show with the Sunday night game and the implications that game had in a real division with two real teams, two Super Bowl contenders, and how much that game affected seeding throughout the NFC? The return of Marshawn Lynch, the missed pass interference call. To me, that's bigger than sitting there talking about for about an hour and 15 minutes of a 2-hour show, or an hour and 45 minutes of a 2-hour and 30-minute show about the fucking Cowboys. A team that's been mediocre at best for the last 25 years. I mean, they should be the Cowboys have those shows and they hit pocket like that. I mean, damn. Anybody and their mama knows that those shows should have let off their A block with the 49ers versus the Seahawks, or even the Patriots upset loss to the Dolphins. Not the Cowboys and the Eagles. Not like they were playing each other. Not the Cowboys beating the Redskins and the Eagles beating the Giants to win the NFC East at 9-7. Come on, man. Now, Alex, I'm proud of the Eagles, but and it's not even because of the Eagles. It's because it's the Cowboys. If the Eagles had beaten the Giants to take the division from the Redskins, nobody would have cared. Nobody. But it's because of those punk-ass Cowboys who gets all of the attention. I don't care if they're the most valued franchise money-wise. I don't care. They don't get the results that their attention hype demands. And boy, am I glad the Eagles won the division so hating-ass Orlando Scandrick, who comes on Undisputed and was just spitting all of this venom at the Philadelphia Eagles because they cut him, talking about, they're going to implode, they're going to fall apart. You know, it was so funny. Skip Bayless said, you the reason why they rose up and won. He called him a dry snitch. I about fell on the floor when I heard that. I mean, that made me happy. That really did. To see, his hating ass basically have to shut up or just have to take his hat off and say, you know what, I was wrong. Just because he's salty that they let him go and he's a Cowboy at heart. Sit down with the rest of the Cowboy fans and shut up. Shut the hell up. Anyway, so we got that cleared up. The Philadelphia Eagles are the NFC East champion. And then the Sunday night game, and oh my goodness, what a game that was. The San Francisco 49ers went to the Seattle Seahawks and beat the Seahawks 26-21 to not only win the NFC West, but to clinch the number 1 seed overall in the NFC. That means Green Bay will be a number 2, and New Orleans will have to play wild card weekend. They will be a 3 seed. And what a crazy ending. I mean, it looked like, if you saw the Clemson-Ohio State game Saturday night, this game was almost a damn replay, except with a different ending. The 49ers just flat out were manhandling the Seahawks the first half. And then all of a sudden, Russell Wilson came to life. Marshawn Lynch scored a touchdown. But the 49ers were answering every time. And then when Seattle had to make a defensive stop, they did. They got the ball back. Russell Wilson is driving down the field. I said, Russell's going to pull this off. I said, Russell Wilson is going to pull this one out the bag. And on 4th down and 10 from about the 12-yard line, Russell Wilson completes a pass down to about the 1. So then I'm like, yep, Seattle's about to win this. So then they get into a huddle and they start substituting and trying to send in different packages, different goal line packages, clearly looking to give the ball to Marshawn Lynch, who had scored earlier from 1 yard out, to make him look like the hero in his triumphant return to Seattle. But you forgot about something. You forgot about the play clock. And you had no timeouts. And you got to delay a game, which pushed you back 5 yards to the 6. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Pete Carroll, look, I'm sure Marshawn Lynch forgives you for Super Bowl 49 for you not giving him the ball against the Patriots. Dude, you got to let that go. The clock is ticking. Tick, 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 tick. You're under 20 seconds left. You got the ball 1st and goal at the 1. Who cares? At that point, because you have no timeouts. Matter of fact, it was 2nd and goal because Russell Wilson spiked it. So what the hell? How do you get a delay of game penalty? So then you had, of course, the non-call on pass interference. That was clearly pass interference. How that was, I don't know, because I remember Sean said something last week about they're not supposed to do a booth review on pass interference. It's just supposed to be a coach's challenge. I've been hearing different all day. But whatever the case was, they didn't review it, so the play stood, and it was 4th and goal.
And the play clock is down to 3, and here we go, and Wilson throws, caught, and it is going to be Hollister. Then the ball winds up in the hands of a 49er, Jimmy Ward.
The goal line, if he does, none of the rest of that even matters.
Hollister gets taken down. Ooh.
I
Looks short to me.
Say he was across the line. It's just the opposite of the Atlanta game that they, holy cow. What a way for the 100th year to end.
After review, completed pass receiver was down short of the goal line. San Francisco will take over on downs. 1st down.
I mean, what a game. What a finish. I mean, it took me back to Rams-Titans Super Bowl 34. It took me to Rams-Titans. Steve McNair throwing the ball to Kevin Dyson, getting tackled just short by Mike Jones. But, yeah, I mean, what a game. That game should have led off every A block in America who had sports talk radio, sports talk TV, whatever. Either that or the Patriots losing to the Dolphins, costing them bye week. But, I mean, you're talking about the shifts in momentum and swings. I mean, that's what should have been talked about. You have to think about what was going on in that game with Seattle and San Francisco. Seattle has 1st and goal at the 1. And if you're in Green Bay, you're thinking, hey, we're about to get the number 1 seed. You're thinking about in Philadelphia, oh, my God, we're going to have to see the 49ers in round 1. You're thinking about the New Orleans Saints. Hey, we're about to get a bye week. And then you have delay a game. Muffed pass interference call. And ultimately stopped at the 1-inch line. Game of inches. Game of inches. And I mean, goodness gracious. So, now we move on to the playoff scenario. So, we will start with the AFC. The number 1 seed is the Baltimore Ravens. They've won 12 in a row. Boy, I'm just of the mindset if you win that many games in a row, you're not undefeated. So and you had nothing to play for, I don't know. I mean, right now they should be the favorites to come out of the AFC. They have been absolutely amazing. Lamar Jackson will win the MVP. It's not even up for debate. I mean, there's no excitement about it. I mean, there's no need for the NFL honors to try to keep anybody in suspense about who's going to win the NFL MVP. We already know. We knew that a month ago that Lamar Jackson was taking home that trophy. So they're number one. The Kansas City Chiefs, because of the Patriots' loss, are number two. To me, the Kansas City Chiefs, to me, they're going to come out the AFC. I just think they have too much firepower and an improved defense enough. If their defense is just average with that offense, they're going to be tough to beat. I think they still have a chip on their shoulder from last year's disappointing overtime loss to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. I just think when they're healthy, which they are right now, and they have a week now to get healthier, they're just too much. They're just going to be too much. Then you have the Patriots at number 3. You have the Buffalo Bills. You have the Houston Texans at number 4, the Buffalo Bills at number 5, and the Tennessee Titans at number 6. Okay? Which leads me to Wild Card Weekend. The Patriots have to play the Titans. Like I said earlier, everybody and their mama is rooting for the Titans unless you're in Foxborough, Massachusetts. We don't want to see the Patriots advance even one round. We want them to be over and done with. We do not want to see the New England Patriots advance in the playoffs. We are sick of them. We don't want to see them go to the AFC Championship game. We damn sure don't want to see them go to the Super Bowl. And that's not going to be an easy out. Now, I think the Patriots will beat the Titans and get smoked at Arrowhead Stadium, but the Titans aren't an easy out. Remember how a couple months ago I said how boring the Tennessee Titans were? That was when Marcus Mariota was the quarterback. Since Ryan Tannehill has been the quarterback, he has resurrected his career. They have all of a sudden become a dynamic offense. Derrick Henry, league leading rusher. A.J. Brown, this rookie has got superstar written all over him. And if you think they're not going to pay attention to see how Devontae Parker worked over Stephon Gilmore, you think A.J. Brown and Corey Davis ain't looking and saying, I think Ryan Tannehill is just a competent quarterback as Ryan Fitzpatrick, because you know Belichick is going to put the game in his hands. He is going to do everything in his power to stop Derrick Henry, to take away your best weapon. So it's going to be on Tannehill. And happy for him, because this is actually going to be his first playoff start. When the Dolphins went to the playoffs in 2016, he wasn't the quarterback. Matt Moore was the quarterback. Tannehill got hurt. So this isn't a gimme for the Patriots. And then you have the 4-5 game, which will be the first game on TV on Wild Card Weekend, which is Buffalo at Houston. Excuse me. I mean, consensus picks would be to go with the Texans. But you never know. But I'm sure Houston is looking to rebound. Last year, they just got embarrassed by the Colts. Same position. In the same position as far as being in the playoffs. Home game. And they got smoked. So I'm pretty sure they'll be looking to rebound. Like I said, Deshaun had his bye week. He didn't play yesterday. You know, Nuke Hopkins had his bye week. They didn't play. Now, over to the NFC. You got your number 1 seed, the San Francisco 49ers. And I think it's fitting. The 49ers were the last undefeated team to lose a game. And while their defense has not been what it was, particularly their defensive line, they've had some injuries in the secondary. They will be getting D Ford back, who made such a difference as far as the rest of that defensive line being able to eat. They're the number 1 seed. And, again, the addition of Emmanuel Sanders. People don't realize how much of a difference that made. One, it gave you a legit number one wide receiver. Some people might say Emmanuel Sanders is not necessarily a number one. Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. He is. He may be. I mean, he may be better at being the number two, but I would pick him as a number one receiver before I pick Juju Smith-Schuster. Let me put it that way. Let me just put it that way. Yes, Emmanuel Sanders would do great if, he was fantastic when Demaryius Thomas was at the height of his game. He would do great if he was next to a receiver like Michael Thomas or Julio Jones. He would be awesome, but he's good enough to be a number one wide receiver because he's like a video game out there and how shifty he is. And he's taken so much pressure off of George Kittle, who to me is the best tight end in football. And the other wide receivers, Deebo Samuel has just emerged. The receiver Bourne has emerged. That trade has opened up that offense so much where Kyle Shanahan is just having fun. You got 3 running backs and Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, and Matt Breida, who all run under 4.4. These guys are burners, man. They're going to be hard to beat. Not saying it's impossible, but they're going to be hard to beat, especially in San Francisco. So they're number one. Green Bay is probably the most disrespected number 2 seed because we all know the greatness of Aaron Rodgers, but who is really taking the Packers seriously? I think nobody is scared to go in Lambeau. Okay, nobody is scared to go in Lambeau. I think New Orleans can go into Lambeau and win. Okay, I think the Philadelphia Eagles or the Seattle Seahawks can go into Lambeau and win. But they're 13-3 for a reason. I'll just leave it at that. Of course, number 3 is the New Orleans Saints. Number 4 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 5 is the Seattle Seahawks. And number 6 is the Minnesota Vikings. Wild card weekend, the Saints have to play the Vikings. I think this will be a good game. I think the Saints will eventually pull away, and they'll beat the Minnesota Vikings. And then you have the Eagles versus the Seahawks. Like I said, the emotions of the end of that Seahawks 49ers game to people in Philadelphia saying, damn it, we have to play the 49ers first, to, hey, we got the Seahawks. We see them as being more beatable. Philadelphia did play Seattle earlier in the season. It was a good game. It was a competitive game. Seattle did win. I see that as being the same type of game, but let me tell you something. If the Eagles beat the Seahawks, and then the week after that, you get Deshaun Jackson back, all I'm going to say is things could get interesting in this bitch. It could get very interesting in this bitch. So that long-winded tirade by me is the NFL Week 17 review and the playoff picture. Now I want to go into something fun. And it's just my opinion on things. I have the top 5 overachieving teams of this NFL season and the top 5 underachieving teams of this NFL season. And I will prelude that with the coaching carousel because, one, the Cleveland Browns have fired Freddie Kitchens. They did that before the late games was over with yesterday. They wasted no time getting rid of Freddie Kitchens. The Giants fired Dave Gettleman. Excuse me. They kept Dave Gettleman. They fired their coach, Pat Shurmur. I mean, don't you think Dave Gettleman is a little responsible for Pat Shurmur? That's all I'm going to say about that. And what everybody's been waiting for hasn't happened yet. It was just a foregone conclusion. This is it for Jason Garrett in Dallas. And what have I been saying to y'all? Don't play yourself. If you really truly believe that, you may be messing with fool's gold. Jerry Jones is a control freak. And he'll put it as, oh, I look at Jason Garrett as a son. Please. Not saying that he don't. But Jason Garrett is also his Pinocchio. He is his puppet.
Settle down just a little bit.
Ah, shut up.
Biatch.
You settle down. But, of course, with the Cowboys, they have to do everything dramatic and everything stupid. He was going to have a meeting with the Joneses at 12 o'clock to discuss the future. Jerry Jones is that type of dude who saw the Cowboys put up 47 points against an awful Redskins team and say, I think that we're going to be heading in the right direction. I think I may have thought too far ahead of this thing, and I think Jason still might be the man for the job.
Get your damn act together.
Oh, no. I'm telling you, watch who's the coach of the Cowboys next year. And to that, I say, keep him. Please keep him. Please. But anyway, I'll start off with the top 5 overachieving teams, and I will definitely explain why. Number 5, the Miami Dolphins. Now look, the Miami Dolphins finished 5-11. But if you saw this team at the beginning of the football season and the fact that they had gotten rid of most of their players who were any good, and it was widely recognized that they were pretty much trying to tank. Remember that whole tanking for Tua thing? And then, they just looked like a high school. They looked worse than a high school team the first 3 weeks of the season. And for Brian Flores, you have to give him some credit. Somewhere along the line within the last quarter and a half of the season, things just actually started to click. Over the last 9 games, the Dolphins were 5-4. I mean, and they beat a couple of playoff teams. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Patriots. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, we know he's a journeyman, and everybody always gets caught up in the Fitz magic crap. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick he's a backup. I mean, he is what he is. If you base your season on having Ryan Fitzpatrick as your starting quarterback, you're not going very far, but he will give you about 3 to 4 games that you could really use. Ryan Fitzpatrick can be a really good relief pitcher if he were in the right situation. Honestly, if he were in the right situation, like if I was Philadelphia, I'd have had him on my roster this season. I mean, good for him for being in Miami and, basically getting himself another year there, or somebody is going to pick him up. Sucks for Josh Rosen because, boy, who knows where his career is going. But you have to give the Dolphins credit. And they may have found a few things. This tight end, Gilsecki, is good. Devontae Parker just had the best season of his career. This kid, Isaiah Ford, is pretty good. They have some weapons. They have some tools. So, shout out to Miami. To me, they've really, really overachieved we were wondering in week 4, would this team even get a win? And they finished 5-11, given their circumstances. Good for them. The number 4 overachieving team I have is the Green Bay Packers. Now, they were 13-3, but a new head coach. He had been coached by Mike McCarthy for so long. You hadn't been to the playoffs the last couple of years. Yes, we know you have Aaron Rodgers, who was an all-time great, but there were a lot of question marks, particularly around the defense. Would Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, would they get along good? And like I said, the quietest 13-3 team in history. They have had a wonderful season. They are back in the playoffs. They have a first-round bye. I don't think anybody's scared to come to Lambeau, but you found yourself a legit running back with Aaron Jones. You still have Devontae Adams, and you still have Aaron Rodgers. So to me, I did not see 13-3 coming. I just didn't. I didn't see that coming with Green Bay. So definite shout out to them. My number 3 overachieving team is the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans, who now have made the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. So respect to Mike Vrabel. But I was not sold on Marcus Mariota. I knew Derrick Henry was good. I knew the Titans played a boring brand of football that kept them in a lot of games. But I didn't see them making the playoffs. I didn't. Coming into the season, pre-Andrew Luck retirement, I saw them finishing last in that division, honestly, because I thought Nick Foles and the Jaguars would be better. I did. I had the Titans taking a step back this season, and instead they took a step forward from last season, making the playoffs. And to me, they have a real shot to beat the New England Patriots in Wild Card Weekend. My number 2 overachieving team is the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Did you really see 13-3 and number 1 seed coming for San Francisco when the season started? I didn't. I didn't even see them making the playoffs. I mean, there were a lot of question marks. Now, John Lynch said when he first got the job, his first priority was building a Super Bowl defensive line. He did that. But the question marks were around the offense. Could Jimmy Garoppolo stay healthy for a full season so you could really see what he's made of? What are you going to do at wide receiver? Thus, the trade for Emmanuel Sanders. Running back by committee. There were a lot of questions about this 49ers team. Was Kyle Shanahan the guy that you thought that you got? Because you got him primarily because of his offensive mindset when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. And for the 49ers, to me, are the most complete team in the NFC. I mean, if you had to ask me right now, who do I think is going to come out the NFC? I'd have to say the 49ers, especially that now that they got the number 1 seed. Only if the Saints don't sign Antonio Brown and he's eligible to play. But other than that, now the 49ers, this group of 49ers aren't that playoff tested outside of Richard Sherman and maybe D Ford. But over the last month of the season, they have played the upper teams in the NFL, and they've had to go through some battles. So, they're learning on the job. They're a battle-tested team. They've been a battle-tested team the last month of the season. And for them to still get the number 1 seed, I got to give them props. And the number 1 overachieving team for me is the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo didn't have anything to play for yesterday, but they were in the playoffs 2 weeks ago, after they beat the Steelers on Sunday night. They had eyes on the division, couldn't quite get that done, but they're a young team, and they're learning. Sean McDermott has done a hell of a job, and as quiet as it's kept, Buffalo has made the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. Josh Allen has taken a step up. He needs to work on his accuracy. I think they could use another legit number 1 receiver. No shade on John Brown, but I think they could use a bigger body wide receiver. That defense is something special. That defense is something special. And this looks like this could be the end of the Patriots as we know it. Buffalo could be that team that could step up and take the AFC East. They haven't won a playoff game since 1995. This was their first 10-win season since 1999. And to me, really, the Patriots have been so dominant. You don't have any expectations of the other 3 teams in the AFC East. You just got the Patriots and them. That's it. The Patriots and them other teams. So Buffalo is my number 1 overachieving team. Definitely. Now, for my top 5 underachieving teams. And note, the only reason why I didn't have the Steelers on my overachieving list is because I'm basing this off of when the season started. When the season started, I thought the Steelers would be right about where they were, 8-8. Just didn't know that Ben Roethlisberger was going to get hurt. So now my top 5 underachieving teams. Number 5, the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears took a step back. They were 12-4 last season. Winners of the NFC North, hosted a playoff game. And Mitch Trubisky I'm going to tell you something. When you are picked in a draft class ahead of Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, boy, whoever that GM was, I'm going to still say, whoever that GM was should be fired. fired, and drug tested. I don't care if the Bears come back and win 12 games next season. You picked Mitch Trubisky, number 2 overall, over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. You're the smartest guy in the room, dumbass. And you could tell their defense just was not the same without Vic Fangio. So they're my number 5 underachieving team. My number 4 underachieving team, the Atlanta Falcons. It's the Falcons just make you want to rip your hair out because there's so much talent on that team. This is pretty much the same squad that got you to a Super Bowl in 2016, got you to the playoffs in 2017. What the hell? I mean, now they had an awful start. They finished strong. They gave you a glimpse of what they could and should have been. They finished 7-9. What I want to say, they had a 1-7, 1-8 start. How does that happen? Matt Ryan was an MVP a couple years ago. You still got Julio. You got Calvin Ridley. You traded Sanu, big whoop. You got Austin Hooper, Devontae Freeman. I mean, what? How? So they're my number 4 underachieving team. My number 3 underachieving team is the Los Angeles Chargers. You know, people had dibs on the Chargers going to the Super Bowl this season, especially after their 12-4 year last year. And they did what the Chargers do when you have expectations of them. They fucked up. Phillip Rivers, you may think that he's gone. This may be the end of the Phillip Rivers era with the Chargers organization. You had that useless holdout by Melvin Gordon. I mean, that was one of the dumbest holdouts that I've ever seen. It was pointless. It really was pointless. Keenan Allen made the Pro Bowl, but the whole team, that whole organization just took a step back. You went from tied for first in the division last year to last place. You're a 5-11 football team with the same team that was 12-4 last year. I don't get it. I just really don't get it. It wasn't a bunch of injuries that hit the Chargers this season. They just didn't play good. Because Austin Eckler filled in just fine for Melvin Gordon when he held out. So that's my number 3 underachieving team. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a tie for number 2 and number 1 for my underachieving teams of the 2019 NFL season. And I think you can guess who it is. Drum roll, please. The number 1, the tied for number 1 underachieving team in the 2019 NFL season is the Cleveland Browns and the Dallas Cowboys. If that wasn't predictable, I don't know what is. I mean, come on. You're talking about the 2 teams with probably the most talented rosters in all of the NFL. I mean, you can't sit here and tell me what a difference that coaching doesn't make a damn difference. You see, they've already fired Freddie Kitchens. And Jerry Jones, I guarantee you, is going to have a Jerry Jones moment and keep Jason Garrett, which makes me happy because they're just going to suck again. Let me get started off with the Dallas Cowboys just to get their sorry asses out the way. I mean, oh, you got your new triplets. You got your Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper, and you know, you got a good compliment beside him and Michael Gallup, and you got Jason Witten wants to come out of retirement and
You suck.
take away snaps from Blake Jarwin. Let's not ignore that. And then you got your defense with your highest paid Cowboys player ever, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch and Byron Jones and all of that other sob-sucking shit that involves the Dallas Cowboys. And you know what you got? You got what you've been since I was in 8th grade. 500 record. 8-8. That's what you got because that's who you are. You had 1 win this season against a team with a winning record, and they ain't even go to the playoffs. And you know what? The Rams got an honorable mention on my league's my most underachieving list because they're the defending NFC champions. But I just thought that those other teams underachieved just a little bit more. But boy, oh boy, you have all of that talent. You just paid Ezekiel Elliott $50 million guaranteed in a $90 million contract. Dak Prescott didn't help his chances. He'll probably get the money. He'll probably get most of the money he wants because who else you going to get at quarterback? Or you could franchise tag him, and you're probably going to lose Amari Cooper, who I honestly think Amari Cooper about 3 weeks ago kind of quit on the Cowboys. That's just the notion that I saw. And you got Jason Garrett. I mean, he's not a good head coach. I mean, he's not. This man has been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys since midway through the 2010 season. And what do you have to show for it? What do you have to show for it? You had a couple of really good seasons. 2014, you were 12-4. 2016, you were 13-3. Last year, you were 10-6. But other than that, what do you got? What do you got? You went 2011, 12, and 13, 8-8. You got 2015 where you were what? 3-13, 4-12, something around that line. You got last year, you were 9-7, missed the playoffs. You know, I'm just saying. No, not last year. 2017, you missed the playoffs. I'm just saying. So what have you got? I mean, with the three standout seasons that you had, 2014 going 12-4, 2016 going 13-3, 2018 going 10-6. You got 2 playoff wins to show for it. Since midway through 2010 to 2019, you have 2 playoff wins. On wild card weekend, you didn't even get to a conference championship. And Jason Garrett is your guy. Really? I mean, that's funny to me. That is really, really, really funny to me. Because Jerry Jones has to be the center of attention. Jerry Jones ain't going to hire no real football coach for the God-fearing possibility that if the Cowboys get good, they will give the head coach the credit instead of the owner. Jerry Jones can't have that.
Settle down
he
just a little
cannot
bit.
have that on his watch anymore. You know, that's what happened with Jimmy Johnson. You got your 2 Super Bowls, and really 3 because the one that he won with Barry Switzer as his puppet, that was still Jimmy Johnson's team. Just add Deion Sanders to the mix. That about it. That is about it. So you take this in. Think about what Mike Tomlin just did with a 4th-string quarterback. Injuries galore. Not having Juju Smith-Schuster for a lot of the season. Not having James Conner for a lot of the season. And that team had the same record as you. Imagine what Mike Tomlin would do with that squad, with the Dallas. Boy, Dallas would be number 1 in the NFC, no less than number 2. I guarantee you that shit. I guarantee you that. So yeah, Cowboys definitely have a slot at number 1 for our most underachieving team in 2019. And now we get to the other team who was tied for number 1, the Cleveland Browns. And, you know, the only reason, because if you look at the Cleveland Browns' past history, them winning 6 games is damn near an accomplishment. But the fact is that they were 7-8-1 last season. Baker Mayfield with all of the vibrato and the shit talking and, you know, we're changing the culture and all this other stuff. This offseason, oh boy, the Cleveland Browns were just the talk of the NFL. Oh my goodness. You were just making trade after trade. You were sprucing your defense. You got Odell Beckham to go along with Jarvis Landry. And it's like, wow. You know, they were doing magazine articles that was calling Baker Mayfield America's quarterback. I mean, you got all of those, you got everything working for you. You got Nick Chubb. You had Kareem Hunt, who was going to join the team after 10 games. You got Njoku, who he did get hurt. But like I said, you got Landry. You got Beckham. You got Chubb. You got Kareem Hunt. Then on the defense, you got Myles Garrett. You got Denzel Ward. You got Demarius Randall. And you got Sheldon Richardson. I mean, boy. And with all that, you got all of the shit talking, and people are saying Super Bowl. The Browns are a Super Bowl contender. Bruh, they won a game less than they did last year. They whew. Mistake number one, you shouldn't have let Greg Williams walk. You should have never put Freddie Kitchens as your coach to appease Baker Mayfield, a rookie who's accomplished nothing. Yeah, he had a pretty decent stretch when he came in as the starter, but what have you seen this year? All the Browns won was headlines. They were neck and neck with the Cowboys with headlines. But I give them credit. I said they ain't waste no time getting rid of Freddie Kitchens' ass. Not a bit. That motherfucker was out the door before the 4 o'clock games was over with. And you just you don't know if Odell Beckham is going to come back next season, unless he's going to be traded. He says that he wants to stay. He may just be saying the right things, but it's just like, what? I mean, you just don't know. You really don't. The 2019 Cleveland Browns were nothing more than a sideshow. They were nothing more than a sideshow. A bunch of, they have an all-star cast with below average results because of who you got at the helm. Again, put Mike Tomlin on the Cleveland Browns. This is a team that is right there in the Super Bowl hunt. Coaching matters, man. Coaching definitely matters because in the Browns and the Cowboys, you have two of the most ultra-talented teams in football, but where your head coach is at, you might as well have nothing. You have nothing. Think about Doug Peterson, what he did with that Philadelphia team. And like I said, the only reason why I did not put the Eagles on my overachieving list is because I was basing it on what I thought would happen at the beginning of this football season. Of course, the Steelers and the Eagles were overachieving teams given what they were working with during the season. They made good in-season adjustments. But people were talking about Cowboys and Browns possibly going to the Super Bowl because of the talent that was on their team. And what did you get? You got nothing. A bunch of headlines. That is it. So you're damn right. They are the two most underachieving teams in the NFL this season. Yeah, they are. Most definitely. And to add on, basically, to get a good perspective of things, I have my man Tony on the line. He's no stranger to this show. Tony, what's going on, bro?
Hey, how you doing?
All right, man. We're chilling. Like I told you, I just gave my top 5 underachieving and overachieving list. And I will let you know, I will tell you the start of I'll start off with the overachieving list. Number 5, I had the Dolphins for overachieving, given what we thought they would be at the beginning of the season. And my list is based on what I thought would happen at the beginning of the season, not mid-season adjustments.
Gotcha.
Yeah, number 5, I had the Dolphins. Number 4, I had the Packers. Number 3, I had the Titans. Number 2, I had the 49ers. And number 1, I had the Bills for my 5 overachieving teams. Underachieving, I had the Bears, number 5. Number 4, the Falcons. Number 3, the Chargers. And I had a tie for number 1 with Dallas and Cleveland. And the Rams having a real close honorable mention. So, what you think?
That sounds pretty accurate, but I do think it's a tie for number 1 because the Rams were a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They were a Super Bowl participant, and to not make the playoffs, they'd have to be considered underachieving, the most underachieving team. Super Bowl hopefuls and expectations of Cleveland being better, those are just expectations. The Rams literally were in the Super Bowl the previous year and made upgrades at positions. So in my mind, they would be the number one team, underachiever.
Well, I don't, everything you're saying, I don't disagree with you. What I didn't expect to happen was them to really load manage Todd Gurley, which is pretty much what they did. They load managed him until it was too late. I always thought that getting rid of Sue, letting Sue go to Tampa was a mistake before the season started. I thought that was a mistake, and I had questions about what Clay Matthews and what Weddle had left as opposed to what they were working with last year. So, I mean, now, to me, yeah, they definitely underachieved because you're right. They were in the Super Bowl last year. I think why I put Dallas in Cleveland is because they would, even though they didn't do it, the last year, I mean, the Cowboys did go to the playoffs. Just all of the talk and the vibrato and, like you say, the expectations. And it was more like, okay, you're supposed to be all this, you're supposed to be all that. Show me something. And especially the Cowboys. Well, no, because to me it was equal. Because to me there was equal amount of talent on that team, and both of them underachieved. You see, the Browns wasted no time firing Freddie Kitchens. Watch Jerry Jones do some Jerry Jones stuff and keep Jason Garrett there. That's just my opinion.
Jason Garrett's gone. Chris Richard already has an interview scheduled for Thursday with the Giants. Jason Garrett's gone. It's just a matter of, and the thing about it is, he's not going to get fired. His contract just won't be renewed because he is a free agent coach. So Jerry doesn't have to go through the whole, firing process with him.
That's a great point. I never even thought about that. That's a really good point.
Effective January 14th.
Right.
Free man can go anywhere he wants to. So rather than humiliate him, because clearly they have a close connection, he'll probably just let it play itself out and let him walk off into the sunset or wherever he's going.
I really never thought about that. I believe that's probably what's going to happen. His contract is up January 14th, and Jerry's probably trying to pull some strings to get him hired somewhere else.
Well, the rumor mill already had him tied to the Giants. So that had nothing to do with Jerry. This was a while ago, and clearly the Giants are interested in a couple people. Now, they could be granting Richard the interview based on the Rooney Rule, which I hope isn't the case. You know how that goes. Mm-hmm. But, his name was linked to the Giants. He's close to the Mariners as well.
Yeah, well, he was he actually, a lot of people won't remember this, in 2000 when the Giants went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Ravens, Jason Garrett actually was the backup quarterback to Kerry Collins. So he does have that connection with the Giants. But what has he done to be a head coach? At least I could see him being a coordinator. What has he done to deserve being a head coach of another team? At least right now.
Well, I'll give Jason Garrett this, and to a man, unless you're, and even Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant, had critical things to say about Jason Garrett, the man, but not so much, that he wasn't a good guy. It was just that he had his favorites. Everyone that's ever played underneath the guy said he's a great guy. Everyone that's ever come in contact with him basically said he's a great guy. So, I don't know. Does that make you a leader of men being a great guy? Wade Phillips was a great guy. There's a lot of great guys that have coached in NFL and been unsuccessful being great guys. So, I don't know. But, more power to them. If they hire him, more power to them. I don't feel sorry for him. One thing's for certain, he won't know how to use Saquon, so that's good.
Yeah, and to me, I'm still tripping on how the Giants fire Pat Shurmur but don't fire Dave Gettleman. I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, hey, it beats me. It beats me. This entire the other rumor mill coming out of Dallas is inside source spoke to one of the assistant coaches, and they basically confirmed that everybody is terminated. So it's going to be a complete overhaul. Which explains maybe why Richard is putting his, hat in the lot with the Giants. I would not be surprised.
Well, like I said, nothing surprises me when it comes to the Giants. Nothing really surprises me when it comes to the NFC East. Maybe except for the Eagles. And
that's coming to an end this weekend. I got a random text from a cousin who's an Eagle fan, and I said, bro, you got 6 days to enjoy this, because it didn't matter. The outcome of the Sunday night football game didn't matter. They certainly weren't going to beat San Fran, and Russell's going to beat them. That's almost a certain.
Well, they have a better chance at beating Russell than the 49ers. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that may be true. Because the Seahawks do have a few, injuries, but as a whole, I just don't see it. People tend to forget, while the Eagles' effort is commendable with all the injuries they had, they barely squeaked by a couple games against these Redskins, against the Giants. Games they should have, by rights, lost.
But the difference between the Eagles and the Cowboys is Philly beat Buffalo, Philly beat Chicago, Philly beat Green Bay, and those were road games.
This is true.
And Dallas didn't. And you got to give. The Eagles were, like I said earlier,
the Cowboys and the Eagles is one person, and it's at the top, the head coaches. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing else, because you have two quarterbacks that are kind of in similar positions where they put up stats, but they haven't really done anything yet.
Well, I don't think Dak Prescott could have done with the roster that Carson Wentz has been playing with for the last month. I don't see Dak Prescott coming with those same results. I just don't. I really don't.
It's hard to say. Dak is an interesting dude, but he is still in my mind. He's not a $40 million guy.
Oh, absolutely not.
Interesting guy, because you can see flashes of potential, what he can be, but sometimes he gets brain farts, and then sometimes his coach and offensive coordinator get brain farts.
Well, what I saw this season was Dak's potential against teams with losing records.
Well, even the teams that we played with winning records, Dak's quarterback rating was pretty high.
Yeah, but but there's a big difference.
As a team, did we perform? No, but it's kind of hard to argue when you look at those games that Dak didn't do at least most of parts of his job.
But a lot of that would happen when they were down big and they were in comeback mode, where they had no choice but to throw the ball, like against the Jets, like against the Packers, like even against Buffalo when they were down big and you knew you had taken the running element completely out of the game. Dak's stats would inflate in the last quarter and a half because you were in go now mode. So I think that's a misleading stat with the quarterback thing, because he was behind a lot, particularly against the better teams. He was behind a lot.
Well, you can look at that two ways against the better teams, and in some of those games that we were able to get back into the game because of that dynamic. And people will say, the teams were playing softer defenses. No, teams don't play prevent until late in the fourth quarter. They were playing their base defenses. And the hurry-up offense, where you kind of let Dak wing it, tended to be better, than the base offenses that Kellen Moore or Garrett, whoever was calling, because we still really don't know. When Dak is at his best when you allow him to wing it, when you allow him to call his own plays in the hurry-up offense. You can kind of see that later on in the season when they started going to a hurry-up, that Dak was better.
Got a question. You guys keeping Amari? Is Amari Cooper going to be there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he wants to be there. Now, my only thing with Amari is hard. Again, he's another one. He disappeared in big moments. Now, was he hurt most of the year, had a variety of injuries? Yeah, I give him that. Still topped 1,000 yards, him and Gallup. They had pretty good years. Both dropped crucial passes, but I think Cooper will be there. I don't think they traded that first-round pick for the rental. I just think that it's a matter of coming to a number. But I think he'll be there. I just don't think that he's top three, maybe not even top 5 receiver money. I think he'll get top 5 receiver, definitely not top 3, but he'll be up there.
Okay,
He's a really good receiver.
So now that the playoffs are set, who do you have coming out of the NFC and AFC?
I'll be honest with you. It's hard to go against San Fran coming out of the NFC. But, you know, any given Sunday. So I'm going to stick with, you know what? I think New Orleans is going to come out of the NFC.
I said New Orleans, I believe, would come out of the NFC if they were able to sign Antonio Brown and he was able to play. I think that's going to be tough for them. Now, I believe that they can go into Lambeau and win, which if they beat the Vikings, they'll have to play Green Bay. I will pick New Orleans to win that game. But I think it would be a real tough if they have to go to San Francisco for an NFC Championship game. I wouldn't be gung-ho shocked if the Saints came out. And I definitely respect your opinion. I just have to see that to believe it, particularly with them not even having a bye week.
Well, the one thing, the reason why I say New Orleans, if anybody, obviously Drew Brees, but their front seven, their run defense, and that's one of the strengths of San Francisco. You want to make Jimmy G beat you. Now, can Jimmy G beat you? Sure.
Yeah.
Also cost you the game.
Yeah.
Now, you want them to get into a shootout with you. That way, Drew Brees is going to win in the shootout.
But he already lost to San Francisco in the shootout.
This is true. Playoffs, different animal, though.
Yeah.
Playoffs, different animal. You've seen what they have, one time. Expect adjustments. I think New Orleans out of the NFC. AFC is a whole different thing, man. That's a wow. Because while Baltimore on paper might seem like the prohibitive favorite, Kansas City is always a force to be reckoned with. And again, Andy Reid's another one of those guys that expect adjustment. I'm going to discount the Patriots at this point because they've shown literally nothing to say that they're going to kick it into this next gear like they typically do. I just think too many losses. There's just too many pieces gone, and they have a bunch of system guys, but the talent still has to be there.
Yes, I believe me and everybody else who's outside of Foxborough, Massachusetts, are rooting for the Titans to just get it over with. Beat them and get them out the way.
And that's another factor, the Titans, if they can run on you, they can beat you. It's just that simple. If they can run on you, they can beat you.
Yeah.
So it's hard to call at this point.
I'm calling Kansas City, like you said. Baltimore, on paper, looks like, the favorite. They've won 12 straight, 14-2. But Kansas City's healthy now, man. And when Kansas City is healthy, they are, gee whiz. They just could be too much. And I think that
on-topic question, or off-topic, on-topic about Baltimore. There was a Facebook post in relation to Lamar Jackson and what he did this year, and it's never been seen before. I responded by listing the Michael Vicks and the Randall Cunninghams and this, that, and the other, but particularly Randall Cunningham, who played in a league where they can hit you. They can hit you. All that running around is fine, but if you keep consistently getting laid out by 300-pounders or even linebackers, you're going to be less inclined to run. I still think it's amazing, but I don't think he's one of a kind.
Well, I've said this before to you. Imagine if Michael Vick's coaches had to tailor their offense strictly to his skill set. I think the Falcons would have gone to a Super Bowl. I don't think, if you give me a choice, Prime Vic or Lamar Jackson, I'm taking Prime Vic all day. I'm taking Prime Vic all day, and that's no knock against Lamar Jackson. I've been a fan of his since he started at Louisville. But what happened, the smartest person in the room was Ozzie Newsome and John Harbaugh for and Greg Roman for centering their whole offense around this guy's skill set, and you see what has happened. Now, is that going to transform into the playoffs? I think Kansas City will be too much for them.
More importantly, is it sustainable? There's a reason why that type of quarterback has never won a Super Bowl. Is it sustainable for a longer term? I don't think so.
No, I think I think eventually, as time goes, he'll get better with particularly with throwing the ball, and he's already pretty good at throwing the ball. But I mean, for this year, his best chance to do this may be this year. I'm questionable about Mark Ingram. I think honestly, my opinion on Mark Ingram, with it being a calf strain and him saying he felt like he got kicked in the back of his leg, I think he should just hang it up for the season. It's the same thing Kevin Durant said, and then in the second quarter of the game, he came back after missing a month, blew the whole Achilles, and that was basketball. This ain't football. So I think that would be a huge loss. But like I said, the Ravens on paper look good. Now, getting Marcus Peters has made a big difference, and they have paid him handsomely. But like I said, I just can't see it again, even in Baltimore, against that Chiefs team.
Yeah, I think I might have to side with you on that. I just think Andy Reid will be his difference maker in that. Baltimore has a good defense, but I mean they score so quickly, and so much in bunches. And Lamar Jackson basically is just another. He's the quarterback, but he's like another running back. Yeah, they can have these long 10-play drives and this, that, and the other, but Kansas City, again, they score so quickly that if you get down a couple touchdowns, that running game is going to become less of a factor.
And I think adding Terrell Suggs is going to make a huge difference.
Right, yeah. Because at this point in his career, he's just a pass rush specialist.
That's it. Okay. Well, I want to discuss a little basketball with you quickly. So what'd you think of the Christmas Day game?
Honestly, I don't have an opinion. My opinion on regular season games are like, it's just 1 in 82.
Okay.
I am surprised that Kawhi didn't get low managed on Christmas Day. that would have been something, but
no. Please. I guarantee you Adam Silver called Doc Rivers and said, "You bet not." Said, "You better not." When the schedule came out, everybody was looking forward to that. Adam Silver probably said, "I don't give a damn if this was your third straight game in 3 nights. He better be on the court Christmas Day, because this is going to be the most watched game of the season. You better not."
Yeah. What would you think?
Well,
based on what you saw.
Well, it happened exactly the way I called it. I've said the whole season the Clippers are a better team. The Lakers will probably finish with a better record because the Clippers are doing the load management thing. Now, granted, I hate load management personally. I think it cheats the league. It definitely cheats the fans. I think the players who do this load management should be ashamed of themselves. The NBA has run 82 games for the last 4 decades, and now because a bunch of prima donna players who want to work less but get paid more are saying, 82 games is too much. These are supposed to be bigger, stronger, more durable athletes, but that's not the case. And I think it's an insult to the NBA fan. I think it's an insult to the players before them. But with that being said, I think the Clippers are a better team than the Lakers. It doesn't matter. There's no home court advantage factor between the Lakers and the Clippers. They play in the same building. I think I thought the Clippers would win, and they won. I think the Clippers will beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. I do.
Too much depth. Too much wing defense.
And just the Clippers are nasty. They have a nasty side to them. They have a dog in them with Beverly and Harold and Lou Williams that the Lakers don't have.
Yeah. I mean, two men against basically a whole roster. I mean, I'll say 3 because Kuzma. But against a whole roster, it's just never going to work out. It's never going to work out.
Yeah, and
throw waves at you.
And if LeBron is in any way, shape, or form compromised because of him re-aggravating the groin injury, look, I mean, look, everybody, that's going to be a problem too. Everybody has made it seem like that no matter what happens, the champion is either going to be the Lakers or the Clippers. I'm saying this. Do not sleep on Milwaukee.
The only problem with Milwaukee is where is that true second fiddle? Like, where's the true second fiddle? Middleton is not. Where's their second? If Giannis, for whatever reason, is off, who takes up the slack?
Well, it's going to have to be Middleton unless they make a trade. You know, and they're a well-coached team. You know, Budenholzer is from the Popovich tree, so I mean they're a well-coached team. And if he's just off for one night in a 7-game series, maybe you can rebound for that. But what I like about Giannis is it's what I thought would happen from Embiid. Giannis is playing possessed from that loss last year. Embiid is maybe starting to do that, but Giannis means it. And I can't sleep on it.
They should have kept Brogdon.
Oh, they should have. Oh, definitely. Definitely. But right now, they look all right. Right now, they look all right. But, all right, well, Tony, I'm going to go ahead and run. I'm about to end this thing. I've been on here for about 2 hours. But, I'm going to end this thing. I'm going to hit you back for Wild Card Weekend, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right, later. Later. Oh, man, it's always fun talking to Tony. As, you know, he's very knowledgeable. And he definitely keeps me on my toes with his knowledge of the sports game. You know, he's a Cowboys fan, but he's an objective Cowboys fan. He's not one of those ones that I just can't stand that just puff their chests out and talk about all that. We got 5 Super Bowl rings, especially them young Cowboy fans who don't even remember the last time they won a Super Bowl ring. But be that as it may, that's my NFL take. Now, I'm going to get into college football, the college football playoff. When I did my last show, LSU was in the process of bitch smacking Oklahoma. And what was that final score? 56? A lot to a little. Basically, the only thing I was mad at is I wanted to see Joe Burrow go for the record. I wanted to see Joe Burrow go for the all-time touchdown mark. I mean, the dude had 7 in the first half. I wanted to see him try to break the record held by David Klingler, which happened in 1990, of 11 touchdown passes. I wanted to see it. And LSU kind of took their foot off the gas, which to me was, you know, disappointing, to be honest with you. It really was. 63-28 was the final score. They took their foot off the gas, and I know people be like, well, you know, you shouldn't run up the score. Suck my balls. You know, you want to stop me from scoring points? Make your defense stop me. Get out of here. But then I said I thought the night game between Clemson and Ohio State would be epic. Absolutely it was. Clemson showed the heart of a champion. They were manhandled in the first half, but they were down 16-0. And then after a personal foul penalty, which Trevor Lawrence was sacked, but they called the defensive player for targeting and they ejected him, which I thought was terrible. They need to do something about that because that was awful. That kid didn't have any intent to hurt Trevor Lawrence. He was just making a play. He may have led with the crown of his helmet, but I don't think he was trying to knock Trevor Lawrence out. Now, what happened in the first game between Oklahoma and LSU, that was targeting when a wide receiver wasn't even in the play and the defensive player just launched into him for no reason. That was targeting. He should have been thrown out. But be that as it may, that sparked Clemson, and they have the heart of a champion, man. They do. They have the heart of a champion, and I'm not betting against them. I thought Clemson would win. It's a battle of the Tigers for the national championship, the Clemson Tigers versus the LSU Tigers. I'm not betting against a team that once this game happens, it will have been over 2 full calendar years since they lost the game. Clemson has gotten disrespected because they play in the ACC and because the ACC is seen as weak. Hey, Virginia's playing in the Orange Bowl tonight. Just saying. They're playing Florida, and it's for me personally, who do I root for? Because I love the Gators. They're my favorite college football team outside of Virginia. And we all know how I feel about the Cavaliers, so I think I'm just going to watch that game and just say whatever. This is Virginia's first ever Orange Bowl appearance, so that's cool. But as far as the national championship game is concerned, I'm going with Clemson, man. I'm going with Clemson. We are about to be in the Dabo Swinney era. But it was a hell of a game. You know, they showed heart. They came back from 16-0. And got to give them props. So with that being said, where the buzzer, where the buzzer, where the buzzer? Well, this is my last podcast of 2019. As we move into a new decade, I just want to wish everybody a safe new year, a safe and happy new year. I will be at church at St. Paul's Baptist Church on Creighton Road tomorrow, as I have 2 services to do. One at 7 o'clock, one at 10 o'clock. I'll be in a skit plus singing with the choir. And again, I just hope everybody has a happy and safe new year. I will see you guys in 2020. You know, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. I will holler at y'all later. This is Brandon Brevon Towns. I'm out. Peace.